Hello, hello, hello. Glad you saw I coming on a few minutes later today. I didn't get my setup. I always like to do a 2 hour setup um, because it allows the notifications to go out smoother to everybody. Uh, but I've been clicking on there. Tony, I hope you saw my note. I did read for you yesterday. I made it the last reading of the day because I know you weren't in the room. So you can go in tomorrow or into yesterday's program, and I should have a transcript attached to it. If you slide down the transcript towards the bottom, you'll see your name, and you don't. You can either rewatch the whole program or you can just watch your reading. I did a 5 card reading for you, anyways. It was work related. It ended up being work related. So I thought I'd let you know. It's a beautiful day here. We were supposed to be 101 today, but because we have so much cumulative clouds because of the heat, we got that nice. I mean, I love the blue sunny skies, but when it's 100 degrees and that cumulus cloud starts forming, it's not forming enough to cause rain, but it is forming enough to lower the tempers, to put a cap over us. Not that the sun's shining through as strongly. So we actually only made it to 99 or 95 today. And Fresno, which is about 35 miles from me, is at 99 degrees. So we're actually 4 degrees cooler because of the cloud cover. And we're closer to the Sierra Nevada mountains here in my county, because I'm only 10 miles away from the base of the Sierra Nevada mountains. So it's gorgeous here. 95 is comfortable. You can sit out at 95. I mean, it's not fun to work in, but just to sit out when you're not really physically active and just enjoying the weather, and that we have a 11-mile-an-hour breeze coming through right now. So got that nice breeze. It's a warm breeze, but it's livable. It's just really a nice day. I know the area I'm moving into is 10 degrees cooler, but the humidity, our humidity is at 25%. See, we don't get really humid here, but East Coast, where we're planning on relocating, it's 56% and 10 degrees cooler. And they're having the same 11-mile-an-hour winds with gusts above that. But so, I always watch the weather patterns because I'm very hot and cold sensitive, and I'm a redhead, so I burn easy. Yeah. Anyways, weather's beautiful today, and I've been busy, and I cooked a big breakfast up this morning because I got all that extra produce and need to get it ate up. And so I made eggs, potatoes, bell peppers, onions with zucchini and some tomatoes, and some little bit of bacon tossed into it for flavor, and it was good. My husband put his into a burrito. I just had mine on the side with an English muffin, or an English muffin. But it was a nice breakfast, and made a big batch of it, so I'm gonna roll the rest up in breakfast burritos and stick them in the refrigerator with some salsa on them, so I can just throw them in the. If I had a microwave, I'd just microwave them more. I have a convection oven, though I don't have a microwave, so I'll throw them in the convection oven, wrap them full, and let them warm up for a few minutes so they're nice and fresh in the morning. If I'm gonna cook for 4 and make leftovers. Just the way I do things. Anyways, I'm doing good. I don't know if anybody's watched any of the news. I picked up a few news flashes this morning when I turned my phone on. Sort of couldn't miss them. Lindsey Graham passed away yesterday afternoon. Had a massive heart attack. It has been confirmed. It's not a rumor. Multiple news outlets have confirmed it and are announcing it. So it was sort of a surprise that it was Lindsey that was going to be the one that passed first. He was on my bingo ticket, so to speak. Metaphorically speaking, I don't have a bingo card going, but metaphorically speaking, I didn't see that coming. But he's been under a tremendous amount of stress in his job and all kinds of things. So may he rest in peace. May he have a in life review that he gets through well, and blessings to him to be able to move over to the other side. McConnell, I know, is amongst the death. I think he is still physically, his body is still alive. I don't think I'm not picking up on active brain activity for him when I channeled his energy last night. I do believe he's in a coma. He is got 2 feet on the other side. He's just waiting for the cord to be severed and for him to be freed, for his soul to be freed completely from his body so he can finish his transition over. My guy's just so soon. He won't live very long on life support if he's brain dead, because the brain is what also keeps organ function working properly. They can run so many machines on you to keep you alive, keeping oxygen and your heartbeat going. But if your brain is not fully functional, you start going into system failures, kidney failure, liver failure, etc. So it's a short period of time before he will actually be released and pronounced actually dead. Will they keep it covered up for a bit? Probably. I don't think they can do proxy votes on the floor for things that they're presenting on the floor, but it's the committees getting them out there that they can proxy vote for him. And they're taking advantage of that right now. It's up to whoever has the power of attorney over his health care, most likely his wife, or an adult child if he has a living will, or any paperwork done. Even if he signed a DNR or anything like that, if it's not presented or not on file with the hospital he's at, it takes whoever got his power of attorney when he has medical conditions to present that and to stop those treatments and make those decisions. So, it's an extremely expensive process, but then we're talking about a man that has more money than God, which I think is a funny statement, because God doesn't have a bank account. No ATMs in heaven. You can't take it with you. But yeah, there's been reports that I picked up because I was looking for them, what actual news, what people that were neighbors and witnesses type thing were going on. According to a couple neighbors that were interviewed by some of the major networks, they had said, yes, they wheeled him out on a gurney. If you watch the footage, they weren't in any big rush, but it was noted by a neighbor that he didn't have an oxygen mask off. They weren't, hustling him up and getting out as fast as they can. No lights going on. Now, sirens, anybody knows anything about EMTs, if you have a heart attack, they will run lights. They don't necessarily run sirens. They'll hit the siren as they go through a busy intersection to slow the traffic down if there's visible traffic that they want to avoid accidents with. But they won't go running sirens and lights at the same time in a heart attack. They will do lights only, because it puts the patient on the ambulance in a panic. They already know they're having a medical emergency. It's done that way to keep the patient calmer. If he left, if they did CPR and revived him and he didn't have an oxygen mask, as much training as I've had, I did ski patrol and all that, so we had all the CPR training, everything. He would have left with an oxygen mask on. So I find that rather questionable of actually what condition he was in when they left. Was he in a coma? He didn't, did he have the heart attack, or did he have a heart attack? He survived the heart attack, but his heart was beating and he was getting oxygen, but had not come out of a coma. We won't know because nobody's talking. No hospital personnel or doctors have come forward to make any kind of statement to the press. So the only thing we're hearing from is the Republicans that supposedly went in and had 20-minute conversations with him or at him. I don't know. But, take it for what it is. Since I was channeling all this, I'm going to talk about a few political things I channel. I don't do political readings right now. It's not that I don't like to. I actually love reading politics. I read it with my working group behind the scenes. But I have ties. I have multiple attorneys in my family that are in volatile legal positions and may or may not be involved in some of the cases out of DC, or including politicians because of the offices they're holding. So my guides talked to me and said it's time to step back because I don't want to put any of my family members that are working in that part of law in jeopardy. Even though those topics are not topics openly discussed because they can't discuss the cases they're working on, but it's for family protection. So I have agreed to step away from political readings for another year. The one attorney I'm mostly concerned about is my son-in-law, and he is going into private practice. And so he said, let his cases, it'll take about a year to a year and a half. Let his cases clear through. He will give me the thumbs up that I can go ahead and do political readings when the cases that he is connected to have cleared the courts. Totally respect him. Totally agree that. So I won't dive into anything that is in a judiciary manner. And no, he isn't practicing out of DC. But every state has a politician. And I did get to hear about one of the cases he worked on that has gone through the courts. I didn't get details, but he told me, yeah, he was involved in that case, sort of a heads up. And I said, I don't read on any of it anymore. So no worry. When he went into the position, I literally stopped reading politics. Other than it'll show up in my collective readings, but I'm not going into the legality issues in those. So just sort of a heads up why I'm not reading politics, because I really do. And I love reading personals and all that. And there's so many people reading politics now out there. Do you need one more? I can tell you I'm in line with Magistrates Tarot. I'm in line with Susan Lynn. I'm in line with a lot of what Johnny Becca and Jen Lynn read on. My guides are in full alignment with them. My husband laughs at me because I'll throw YouTube up on the TV and watch Susan Lynn. And as she presents the questions, it takes her for a few minutes before she starts channeling her answer. I'll just start out loud answering the question. And my husband's going, what are you doing? I said, well, listen to me and listen to the program. And he'll go, well, she just said what you said. I said, yeah, I'm just keeping my skills up. But obviously, if we're getting exactly the same answer, we're channeling the same guides. I said, it's pretty cool, huh? It's a way to keep your skill building up. And if you're a reader, one of the hardest things to do is learn to trust what you're receiving. Because sometimes we get information and we question, where the heck did that come from? Especially when I'm doing personal readings, because I don't know everybody personal details individually. I don't have time to start Googling everybody that walks into my room to find out anything about you. I don't do that. You have your private lives. I read based on energy, on my guides and my intuition. And my guides, I'm channeling constantly. My guides are laughing their heads off right now. Yes, your guides have really great sense of humors, by the way. Anyways, I was talking to a friend about the stock market and investing in it. And it's funny because it's something that Trend Zone had said, oh, gold and silver, gold and silver. And yeah, gold and silver are great investments, especially because they're easily liquidated. They're not always traced depending on how you buy them, especially silver. If you're buying lots of gold from distributors, it is those, depending on how you're buying your gold, it can be tracked. And of course, it's taxed when you go in and go to the gold exchange and start exchanging it, where your silver is much more liquid. If you're wanting just easy access to money, silver coins, investing in silver coins, buy a roll of silver dimes. They're worth more than a dime. They can be worth up to like $250 a piece, depending on the quality of the coins and based on silver weight and things like that and what the market's doing. So I'm not giving investment advice. I am the worst person to get investment advice. I do not understand the stock market. I understand economics really well, but I don't understand how the stock market works. And, see a good financial advisor that you feel trusted if you're going to be doing any kinds of investments, purchases, stocks, coins, etc. Find somebody that knows what they're doing in it and then go for it. But what I do see is the energy of the stock market. As that needle goes up and down, I can see that pattern of that up and down roller coaster. Don't bet on my vision. But I feel that we're roller coastering back and forth right now. It rises, it falls, it rises, it falls. Part of that is politically manipulated by, our president makes this announcement, that announce, and things jump up, things drop all of a sudden overnight. It's one way he's manipulating the stock market for the wealthy. A lot of insider trading going on, both in Congress and in the Senate and in the wealthy circles of our politicians. They listen for his cues. They make their moves that causes the volatility of the rise and falls, sunrises and falls in our stock market. And they know when to buy, they know when to sell, and they make pay dirt doing it. And it's not just Republicans. The Democrats are as guilty in insider trading as Republicans. Not all of them, but there are those. You cannot take a $180,000 a year job as your sole income, even if you are wealthy and have businesses on the side, and walk out of your seat becoming a billionaire while you're in there. So do the math. There's insider trading, definitely. But yeah, that's what I was picking up last night when I was meditating on it. And then I finally said, I gotta quit meditating on this because I won't be able to sleep. And then I cleared my mind. I did a peaceful, I listened to a meditation tape where I could focus on the animals in the forest and all the different sounds in the water and all that. Got my mind to slow down and quit thinking about those things. And I drifted off to sleep beautifully and got another 8 hours of sleep. And my energy's high again today. I love it. So anyways, I'm feeling good. I'm actually looking pretty good. My hair is growing out. Those of you that have been following me for a while, I've always worn my hair really short, like in my thumbnail, which has always been, I always cut my own hair. So I am my own beautician. It's a lucky skill I got. But even my short haircuts, I do those all by myself. I don't go to a beautician. But yeah, I was keeping my hair about 1.5 inches to 2 inches long. And the last haircut I had was in December, the end of December, beginning of January. So this is my 6-month growth. My hair is growing amazingly fast. And this is my natural curl. After it gets about to the 4th inch, the curls start coming out. And the longer it gets, my hair will grow down to my waist, but the curls will pop it up to about mid of my back. I'll get quite a bit of spring in my hair. The curls will actually get tighter as the longer it gets. I don't know why. You would think the weight would weigh it down, but it doesn't. My hair spirals. I get a natural spiral curl. So, yeah, my daughter sent me pictures of my youngest grandson, who is my doppelganger. He looks just like me. And she's never cut his hair before. She's trimmed the bottom edges of it, and he's 5. And his hair, when I was there in May and June, his hair hangs, curls and all, to his waistline. She sends me a picture of him. He's got wet hair. She sends me another picture. Then she sends me a picture of a braid it was hanging across her hand from thumb to forefinger, this far, of a braid that was his hair, because I could see the curls, and it was wet when she cut it. And I went panic. Oh my God, she cut his hair. I'm looking at the pictures, and I went, well, his hair's still long. And then I went back and re-looked at the picture. And re-looked at the pictures, and then I realized she cut about 4 inches off from it, and it's no longer at his waist. It's sprung up, and it's now just below. It's about the center of his back now, and she took probably closer to 5 or 6 inches off, just to freshen up his curls. And now she's got the pony. She's got the braid. She's got a keepsake of his braid. There's a picture of him smiling and looking at his braid. Now, he doesn't want his hair cut short. She's asked him, he's like, no, it would make me sad. I love my hair. And he's got these big, loopy curls. And this hair, he's got the most beautiful hair. Every woman that walks past him goes, oh my God, your son has such gorgeous hair. He does. He absolutely has gorgeous hair. But anyways, enough of that. Enough of him. He's a cutie pie. My granddaughter Addie has. She looks like my daughter. She has the Native American features and the olive complexion. She's the only one that's not lily white. My daughter's half Native American, and so she's got the coloring and the features, the olive complexion. My daughter's French and Indian, and Scottish and Irish. So my daughter has olive complexion rather than Native American coloring. But she looks just like her mom. And she'll have her hair cut in a page. She gets migraines, so she keeps her hair short. And in 6 months, it's back down to her waist. Her hair grows and grows and grows and grows. And it's thick and coarse. Absolutely beautiful. But she can't wear it long because it makes her have migraines because it's so heavy and thick. I mean, she braids her hair and she ends up with 2 big, thick braids, just dividing it in half and braiding it. So yeah, the weight of her hair is too much for her. So she usually wears it just below her shoulders. She's got gorgeous hair. And she is quite the little diva. My oldest granddaughter is also a redhead. Also very much favors me in looks. She's built like me. And she's a bit of a tomboy. I would say she's my feminine side and Odie's my tomboy, but he's all boy. So, hey, Marby, I'm just waiting for people to trickle in and I'm gabbling on. Actually, I'm not going to do a reading for the collective today because I was just sort of putting out there if you want to watch my political things. Ode to Lindsey Graham's death. May he cross and pass in peace. And as you all know, when there is, as far as I'm concerned, there's no hell. There's just different levels of heaven that we ascend to or descend to, depending on where we're fitting into our life plans and our ascension on the other side. I don't believe in hellfire and that. But there are definitely lower levels of heaven that you're going to have to work to correct your life plans of building yourself spiritually and stuff. Yeah, Trump is sitting around with the fear of God of being sent to hell. I don't blame him. That's just an admission of how guilty he really is. If you think about his worrying about that. Now he's going through a oh, I was told I'm being hunted. They've got hits out on me to be assassinated. And I was talking to a friend of mine this morning, and I said, you know what? Honestly, I think he would rather be assassinated than step down out of office or impeached, because at least with assassination, and this is my opinion only, my guides are already laughing in my ear. In my opinion, he would rather be assassinated because that would make him some kind of a hero in his mind. We're talking about his dimension, his delusion, versus if he ends up impeached and loses face by being kicked out of office, or just doing the right thing and deciding that, my mental capacity isn't here, I'm making a fool of myself, it's time for me to step down without explanation, which is what we'd wish he would do, but he's not going to do that. Yeah, so I think historically an assassination would make him feel like he would have a better place in history than he's already, the situation he's built for himself. You and I and the rest of the world know that, yeah, if he was assassinated, that's not going to make him a better president. History, he's already set his own history. He'll be studied for centuries. I'm sure a lot of laws will change because of what he did. And remember, he did keep one campaign promise. Don't give me hate for this. The one campaign promise Donald Trump promised was he was going to drain the swamp. He has done a fantastic job draining the swamp. The party didn't tell us when he said that was, when I drain the swamp, I'm going to expose everybody, including myself. And that's the demise we're living in right now is, when the swamp's gone, all the creatures can be seen. So we will make it through these times. Have faith, have strength. Let your representatives know where you stand, where you feel, what you're expecting of them, especially after the re-elections, because we want our voices heard of what it is we are needing from our government to help shape our new government, our new society, and to better serve us as representatives for the people, not just for the wealthy. And if we don't speak our minds and we don't make it clear what our expectations are, we will not get them. So do your letter writing, get your local Congress and representatives and senators addresses, send them letters, tell them what you're needing, what you want. If you're having problems with like Social Security agencies, they're sitting on information, or they're not getting your application process for disability or for your benefits process timely, write your senator or your congressman. They will do it in congressional advisory and question them. It will bring your paperwork up to the top and get it processed faster. Sometimes it takes that to get something done in a government agency in which they've stripped all the employees from. Now, those of you that are aging up like me, I'm 62. I'm on SSDI. I will be till I'm 67. I'll automatically convert to my Social Security. But if you're there's a lot of really bad information coming out about Social Security right now. I highly recommend Dr. Ware. I think it's W-I-E-R. He has a YouTube channel. I trust him because he was a department head of one of the largest Social Security administrations. He was high up in the organization. He was one of the management level ones. He knows the ins and outs of Social Security. He has retired. And so as a public service, he is taking live questions. He does all his programs live. He answers all the ins and outs of Social Security, how benefits work, what people are eligible and not eligible for. He also sponsors Chapter, which is a organization that can help you with selecting the appropriate Medicare or Advantage or supplemental plans. So go through all the ins and outs. It's a great service. If you're a member of AARP also has assistance program on helping select the appropriate Advantage or supplemental plans based on your medical needs. If you use those services, I highly recommend that you have a list of the doctors that you see on a regular basis, including your specialists and all your prescription drugs. A list of all your prescription drugs and dosages you take, because they will run all your prescription drug costs and everything through the different prescription drug plans and line you up, depending on what kind of program you're going to, line you up with the most appropriate cost-effective plans available for you. They'll also always inquire about supplemental plans unless you're very, very low income, because you won't be able to pay the premiums. If you're 65 or older, the premiums are pretty reasonable on the supplemental plans. But if you have a lot of serious health problems like I do, the supplemental plan will pay for itself in the long run. If you are relatively healthy and don't have a lot of medical problems, you only see one or two doctors. Maybe you have a little bit of a heart condition, you take blood pressure, and you see a primary care, and you don't need other specialists. An Advantage plan may be a great plan for you with all those perks, because you're not having to see multiple doctors. The Advantage plans, you're required to get pre-approvals to see specialists. And if you see more than 2 or 3, they start denying. My experience, because I have 3 autoimmune diseases that interclash with each other. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I have multiple sclerosis, and I have chronic pancreatitis, of which I've always told people about. And so I have some really, and when one flares up, everything impacts my EMS. So if my blood sugars are out of control, I start having relapses of my EMS. I have a hard time finding my words. My balance gets off. It has a lot of impacts on me. So I always try. I meditate a lot because I need to keep my stress levels down. And God only knows, my husband can set me off at times too. Yeah, we learn to stop. I bull up, I throw a fit, I stop him from the attacks, and then I sit down, I chew his ass out, and I straighten him out, and I tell him, no, we're not going to do this. I'm not going to live like that. So anyways, anytime, if you have any questions, I highly recommend you going to him. Text me, ask me. I might have the answer, because I keep up on that stuff. That's sort of my wheelhouse. I did similar work as a paralegal on the legal side. I have not had any problems finding information and data on Social Security information. I have a good knowledge of working through the regulations and stuff, and I'm pretty good at digging up that information. So feel free to flip me an email or shoot me a question via messenger if you have any questions. But I highly recommend his website, and I really need to update my playlist favorites and put his on there, get it up towards the top so people can just click in and find that channel. But he is who I would recommend. All the other ones, most of them are popped up in the last month or two. I always, when I see something new on Social Security coming out, it looks all official, because they put the fancy little names on them and look like they're representing the government and all that. If you go down to when the website went active, they're usually a month or two old, and there's a lot of misinformation, which he gets all those questions too, that people saw it on the YouTube, and they're asking him, is this true, blah blah blah, and he will actually be able to totally clarify it, because he has insider knowledge that he can still tap into, finding out what the latest and greatest things that they're receiving, but it's not become public yet. changes the notices because he has a lot of colleagues still working at Social Security. It's a good way to put it. And he's a little bit embittered about, when they've done a lot of the layoffs in the Social Security Administration, the first people they lay off is all the seasoned workers, because a lot of them have been working there 25 to 30 years. They've got their time in service at federal employees. They're eligible for retirement. And when they do in federal government, when they do what they call a golden parachute, where they're disbanding positions, they will do like retirement bonuses, a $25,000 bonus if you drop your papers. And on top of that bonus, my mom went out this way. On top of that bonus, you won't get a reduction in early retirement because you haven't hit age 62 or 65 or whatever their retirement age is based on. They have enough time in service. You have to have 25 years in service, plus be over 50, plus, there's qualifiers for retirement. And so, which is also how I retired, is I had enough time in service. I had 27 years in service, plus I was I was 51 when I retired. I had been out for almost a year on medical disability because I had a huge flare-up. I ended up with 5 active lesions with my MS, which almost crippled me. At one point in time, I couldn't walk. I couldn't stay balanced. I was falling all the time. I had huge impacts in my ability to speak and talk. I knew what I wanted to say, but I couldn't communicate. It wasn't coming down to my mouth or my pen or my fingers. It was a huge impact. And I went out for almost a year. And my doctor said, no, she doesn't want me to return to work. She wants me to retire. Well, after a year, I'd stabilized a lot. I was still having balance problems. And I said, no, I want to go back to work. So she said, well, I'll let you go back to work if you have anything that comes up and you're not be able to do your job. Come into the office. And then the week I went back to work, she went out of town on vacation. And I didn't even make it through the week. I called the office and they said, come in. She's got you a note written because she knew I wasn't going to make it. My doctor putting me back out. And she already had me worked into her schedule for when she was returning on vacation. This is how much she knew I was going to fail at returning to work, because I instantly spiraled as soon as the pressure was on. And I went back part-time, mind you. I didn't even go back full-time. And as soon as the pressure was on, of course, I walked in the door. I was only working a 4-hour day. They wanted me to do the 8 hours of work in that 4 hours, which was totally overwhelming. Plus, nobody had worked my desk the whole year I was off. I had a year's worth of backup mail. And I worked in a very time-sensitive position. So, yeah, it had all spiraled. And it was instantly overwhelming. And that level of stress coming right in the door just spiraled me back down. And that's when I decided, she's right, I need to retire. So I went out on medical disability, which is really good because I didn't have to take that 10-year early retirement hit, where they reduce your retirement. Because it was a medical disability, I actually retained, I think it's 80% of my retirement. So I really got lucky in that sense that it was a medically impacted. So survival. So I'm surviving. I'm not living just on Social Security, fortunately. Anyways, I think the room is pretty full. I'm going to be working my list off my main page rather than trying to switch back and forth, which never works with me. Well, Tammy, if you're 67, you're not on the SSDI anymore. You have converted to full retirement because your Social Security disability is equal to your full retirement when you went on disability. And if you're 67 now, you're eligible, fully eligible for Social Security at 67, which is your full retirement age, and it automatically converts. Just to let you know that. That is where it automatically switches. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to sign up for Social Security and switch it yourself. It's just automatic as soon as you hit that birthday. Oh, if you're 64, it will automatically convert at 67. But there's nothing you have to do. Oh, and by the way, if you're married and married over 10 years, even if you're separated and you're disabled after you're 50, you may be eligible for additional benefits on your spouse's Social Security. So call me later. We'll talk about it if you haven't looked into that. And I'll send you to Dr. Weir's website. He just did a whole thing on it a couple days ago. And I'm like, I know people that are in that situation. I'll remind them, which is why I brought him up to begin with. It wasn't you specifically, but I know a lot of my audience are up, because I've seen my demographics. A lot of us are between 50 and 70, and that's a common demographics for us readers. And we get younger ones, of course, and we welcome everybody in. So everybody welcome. But talking about some of these topics, people that aren't retired yet and haven't even looked into any of these programs, there is good information out. Even if you're not to the point you're filing for Social Security or you're considering retiring, and if you have a pension, my God, hold on to your. Don't apply for early Social Security, because if you do it at 62, it's literally a 30% cut of what you would receive at full retirement age. But if you're in the position your retirement plan's not helping you make ends meet, you got to math it out. You may want to wait till you're 65 because the reductions, less I think you go into. In fact, Dr. Weir has a whole page that discusses where what the percentage of the reduction is depending on what age you retire at. And of course your full retirement benefit eligibility, because they've shifted used to be at 62 we all could retire, and then they moved it to 65. Well, and then they divided that group out and pushed those born after 61, I think it is 1961, cannot retire until they're 67, and then they add some months on there depending on what time of the year you were born. And then it just gets more and more complicated of what your actual full retirement is. If you go out on SSDI as a disabled person and you're qualified to receive the SSDI, you actually get your full retirement. What your retirement based on the number of quarters you've worked. You have to meet the 10-year 4 quarters for 10 full years worth of quarters to qualify. But they will base your SSDI on that amount. And so you won't have that 30% reduction or anything. You end up with your full retirement amount, and then you get the COLAs as you go through, and you don't have to wait to draw. It's one of the little perks if you're disabled. The rules of disability are changing a lot. They're trying to tighten up who qualifies and doesn't qualify. And are you total permanent disability for things like, I have RRMS. I will not recover. It is not a curable disease. So I don't have to go through the renewal processes. A cancer patient, that's if you're stage 2, you qualify for disability while you're doing, actively have cancer and you're going through treatment. But then you have a recovery period time. If you go in a remission or something, you'll disqualify out of the program, and you'll have to monitor every couple of years. They'll send you what they call a CDR, a recreditation of your disability. Or if you know that you've gone into remission, you can return to work, you're doing good, You can stop the disability. You can always restart it if it comes back, and continue to work. Personally, I would love to be able to work. And then there are programs where I could go back to work part-time, and there's it's limited to how much I can do. I can do a 9-month trial work period. It gets a little complicated too. But yeah, you can receive disability and work. If you're on SSI only, that's an income base. That's like a welfare based system because you haven't met enough quarters to qualify, or your benefit amount is so low you may get SSDI and SSI. Then the work issue changes the game, because SSDI is just bringing your benefit up to that level because of the low income. Anyway, it gets it gets messy and complicated. He explains it well. But yeah, so those programs are out there. The Medigap, which is basically it's your Medicare plus Medicaid or whatever it's called in your statement. In California, it's Medi-Cal is what Medicaid, the public assistance medical services, is called. But the program when you're on SSDI is called Medigap. There's also a prescription drug plan that you can qualify that helps you out with just prescription drugs. If you don't qualify into the combined medical, you may be over income for medical, but you're still in that realm where you can get prescription drug cost assistance that will offset your costs. So it's interesting. It's a really interesting topic. It's one of those, my over reading, over diving into things wheelhouse. Like I said, I'm a know-it-all. It's because I do a lot of research and it's interesting. Plus, I receive those benefits. So I like to keep up on what's going on because, Congress and the Senate are wanting to totally eliminate Social Security benefits. They try to tell it it's a Social Security or a welfare system. And it is not a welfare system. Every single one of us that's ever held down a job, a normal job where we pay taxes and all that, you are forced by law to invest in Social Security and pay into Social Security. That's what the FICA tax is about. That's what the Medicaid tax is about, that comes out of every one of your checks. You don't get to opt out of that withholding from your check. And that is what our Social Security retirement, Social Security disability plans are based on. We are vested into that as a form of retirement, along with maybe 401k that's offered, or company match, depending on who you're working for, what kind of benefit package you're offered, or a pension plan if you're in a company that has I'm a government employee. I work for the government. I work for the county government. We had a 457 retirement plan. So I have a pension through that, which was match funds. I could raise I could increase the amount I put into that plan. They would match up to a certain percentage in there. So, and I did vest into my retirement plan. And, when I hit a certain level of income, my mom suggested when I was in my 40s, put an extra $5 or $10 a pay period in. Do it when they do your raise. You won't miss it. And so I took her advice, and she was right. Everybody got a raise. I got a raise too. I put $10 of that raise away. I still got a raise, and that deduction that came out of my check, that $10, was pre-taxed. So I only noticed like a $6 or $7 difference. So that $10 investment I wasn't taxed on. So it was really only a change in my raise of like $6 or $7. So, pay dirt. I got a double whammy on that one when you think about it. And then that little investment in myself was not part of my gross earnings, because it was pre-tax money, and it didn't count on my total gross earnings. It was before taxes. So that got sort of erased down and brought my taxable income down a little bit, which is another bonus. It's only $10, only $120 a year, but $120 could have pushed me into the next tax bracket. You never know. Anyhow, I'm going to get off finances and that kind of stuff. I hope any of that was helpful for anybody out there. And like I said, if you have questions about stuff like that and you want somebody to talk to about it, or you're trying to work your way to understanding Medicare and things like that, because I learned the hard way. I fell down and bruised my nose a few times before I finally got the plan that worked for me. I can help you find the resources to get in contact with the right people and stuff like that. Part of my wheelhouse as an occupation, I was the person that everybody came to for resources. So that is a resource I have information on if you need help with that kind of stuff. Now let's get off on our readings, and we're going to have a nice slow room today. I've been jabbering on for almost an hour. I am a motor mouth, aren't I? Anyways, who I've got on my list is Tammy, and I don't know why I unstart myself. Come on, mouse, work with me. Back up at the top. Dropped it all the way back to the top. Okay, on the list is Tammy Tony Marby, which I know I put you on, but not on your first entry. There you are. Okay. I guess that's all of us. Wow, it is a really slow room. Of course, we're an hour in. We'll start getting people popping in before long. We always have a few stragglers. I'm sure Trinzone will show up before long. I always watch for him. But anyway, it's the first person I'm reading for. We're doing oracles today, and the decks I pulled is my surrender deck. And I always name the decks, but I never tell you who the deck's written by. This deck is written by Judith Orloff. She's an MD. She's a best-selling author with the New York Times, and she, I believe, has a book called The Power of Surrender. But this is the decks that goes on. She does beautiful work. I believe she's a psychologist or psychiatrist, something like that, maybe sociology. I'm not sure what her MD's in, but my guess it's in that realm, that wheelhouse somewhere. And of course, spiritualism. So that's the surrender deck I use, and this is the back of the deck. The other deck I'm using today is the Soul Truth deck. This is that awareness deck that allows us to, I'll pull a card. It will ask us a question, basically, something to contemplate about ourselves, to learn more about ourselves, and do a little bit of in-depth research. I love this deck. It's a deck. He describes the deck, or she describes the deck as a daily question that will transform your life. So it's a sort of an exercise of looking inside yourself. And it's by Brianne. It looks like honey. It's Hovey, Brianne Hovey. And I love this. And I highly encourage you, if you like these decks and you want to do some work on yourself, buy the decks, go through it's a great way to journal. Pick a card a day and address that, take the today's soul action and, jot down a few notes, learn about yourself. And that's what I like. These decks make you think about yourself and your attitude and what direction you're, questions that would allow us to find out more about ourselves. I do journaling. So journaling it's self-exploration. It only helps us grow. And then I have the blessings deck. This is the Novice Day deck. And of course, I love the art on this deck. And this deck is created from Tony Carmi Sereno. Anyways, and it's a beautiful deck too. It also has beautiful artwork, and these are blessings from that she's written and are very inspirational. And if you have done a $5 donation and you want to share a reading today on a question you have, you'll get the three oracle readings. But I will be reading off my new deck, which is the Wild Reflections deck, and I absolutely love the artwork. This I was reading for the first time yesterday from. It's based on the Rider-Waite styling, card styling, but the imaging on the cards is not traditional Rider-Waite. Because I read from imaging and my guides, and I'm channeling, and I've done a lot of dream studies and stuff like that, symbolism, energies. I pick up those little idiosyncrasies that are embedded in the cards from the artist, which also enhances the way I read the cards. So, but this is a beautiful deck. It's put out by Wayspell. I don't know if that's the author's last name or if it's the publishing company, because I don't have a full name on this, but $9.99 on Amazon. It was on sale for the Prime. And yes, I have not boycotted Amazon, because when I'm buying something that I use a lot, I will run it through the internet, through multiple things, and I will shop where I get the best deal. And Amazon, and a lot of times, has really good deals. So those will be the decks I'll be using today. And of course, I've got my favorite deck that I will highly promote. It's the Tarot of Oneness. I'm not using it today, but the Tarot of Oneness is written by Robin Voicey. I think that says very small. Can't see it up. Anyways, this is a beautiful deck. It has 5 extra cards that are spiritual cards that are above and beyond the normal 54 card deck. Those are the ones that are like the Oneness card, which is the deck is thing. The Be in the Present card. There's several cards like that that are giving you an extra message of keeping in touch with your spirituality, etc. So, anyways, very fun, very interesting. Hey, Marva, you're 58. I wish I was 58 still. It hasn't been that long. Yeah, so if you're probably thinking on the retirement soon age, depending on what you do for a living, if you're working, and where you are in your career. And if you are working and you're working for a large company, a lot of companies will have early retirement seminars just to sort of get an informational of where you stand and all that. You're a perfect age to attend that, even though you're not considering retiring yet. But you start looking at where you're sitting with your pension, where you're sitting with Social Security, and how that works together. And they'll go over continuing on with the health insurance through your employer. Realize that usually goes to a COBRA rate. I don't know of any employers that will give you the same rate you're paying as an employee. They usually bump it up at a COBRA rate. And if you've ever seen a COBRA on health insurance, you're talking about $1,200 a month against what you're getting in your retirement. You may be signing your retirement check over to your pension over to them for your health insurance. So, but it gives you options, but it'll work you through how they work in conjunction with each other. It may even give you a time, because you are 58, you could still have time to open a 401k and maybe put a percentage of your income back on top of that, because you usually don't draw on your 401ks until you hit 65. So it'll give you a third resource, and you can put so much money into those each month, so look into, if you're at a, if you're approaching your 60s and your employer has a early retirement seminar that they put on 2 or 3 times a year, sign up for it, get informed, even though you're not looking at retiring for a number of years still, it will help you start planning on what you haven't planned on when you were in your 40s and working, when we should be doing it, but we're going to live forever at 40. So we're not, it's 20 years away. Retirement is, 20 plus years away. We don't look that far ahead in our 40s. Those of you that are in your 40s, if you haven't started considering additional retirement options so that you can survive past what's going to be left of Social Security, because we are going to be taking a hit in, 73 months. Social Security is going to take a 22% reduction for everybody, unless the government finally steps in and tries to rescue Social Security. And honestly, in my opinion, the way to rescue Social Security is to do a slight percentage increase of the withholding from our checks. I mean, my employer adjusted my retirement contribution because current retirees are helping support people that are already retired. It sort of works like Social Security. The system's self-sufficient, and they invest that money, which grows it and all that. In fact, the newsletter, the current employees that are still working, and they're in a different tier section than I was in my retirement plan. If you're hired from this period to this period, you're in tier this, and all, and so on and so on. They just got a 0.52 increase in their deduction towards retirement to help support the number of retirees currently drawing in the system, which is someplace around 5,000 employees right now, currently drawing out of the pension system. And that's almost equal to the number of total employees for the county that I worked for. So, it gives you an idea of the empties. I'm in a retirement group that our investments were so good that when I retired, we got a $300 additional supplemental because we had so much return on our investment money. Very fortunate for me. In fact, the statewide, all the counties throughout the states have come to our county to learn more about how our county retirement board invested our funds, because we have the highest growth for the state in our retirement plans, and they want to know what they were investing in, how are they diversifying that money to have such great returns on our investments. And even the state has come in on what we're doing to enrich our state retirement plans too, which is pretty impressive. Glad I ended up in this county. But the way that's written into our contract, when you draw it, you get the $300 extra on your check, and then each year it drops a 0.5%. So it will slowly dissipate through the years, but in the meantime, my retirement plan, just a good construction. Our unions locked us into a mandatory 3% increase every year, or COLA, whichever is higher. So we will not go like last year. The COLA for Social Security, the federal COLA was 2.8. We still got 3% on our retirement plan. So I went up 3% on my retirement, got the crappy COLA. But the year we got the 8%, 8.4, something like that percent on the COLA, we got our 3%, and then we got another 5 point whatever it was COLA, and they separated so you could see how much we got for the normal the normal 3% raise plus the COLA edition, the difference of the COLA. So we got a big raise that year, which was funny. And then, of course, the county turned around and gave all employees a big raise that year for the cost of living increase. It was that big post-COVID. I think they got an 8%. But, so I follow all that crap. Information overload. But yeah, so, when you're seeking employment, when you're young and you're seeking employment, you're looking for benefit plan. And it's not just what wages I get, is and what opportunities do you give me? Yeah. Okay. So for Tammy, let's get on with this, because now I'm going to babble for another hour if I don't get reading. And hopefully I'm not boring everybody stiff. Can't see. I had a message pop up on my screen. I'm going to hit cancel because I can't even read it. Too small print. Okay, well, Tammy, the first card I pulled for you is a surrender card, and it says surrender to rest and sleep. Here, this one's for everybody. Here's the card. It says, to prevent burnout, slow down, honor your need for quiet time and peaceful sleep to rejuvenate your mind, your body, and your spirit. That's why I said it's for everybody. I don't know about anybody else, but I am a crazy, crazy insomniac. Hey, Lucas, I'm adding you to the list. Okay. The next card is, where am I called to use my voice right now? This is from the Soul Truth. It says, you have a soul script that was written to be spoken. Your story matters, and it's time for you to share it with the world. See, I've been doing that all day. Okay. Today's soul action is share your story with at least one person today. I'm ahead of the game. Be brave and speak your truth, and your voice will be a catalyst for healing others and helping others. Okay, and from the Namaste deck. Oh, I love this card. Isn't it the most beautiful artistic angel? Love the energy coming up, and of course, beautiful colors. Indigo blue, butterfly ascension. The blessing is a blessing from the beloved. Love unfolds your wings, and you will fly high above the earth unto the realm of heaven. Blessed by the light of her beautiful soul, you enter the emerald heart of the Divine Mother, which is full of eternal blessings. The world is your playground, waiting to be explored and beloved. Namaste. And that's why I like these cards. Uplifting. Love them. Okay. Next up is, I believe it's Tony. Hold on, I gotta scroll up here. Me and my crazy mouse. Yeah, Tony, like I said, right below your name, I read for you yesterday. You sent me a donation for reading, but I know you got busy. Life happens. Very last reading of yesterday's reading, my guides told me, on top of that, to go ahead and pull you a postcard from Spirit, because I'm not reading these for everybody today. But this one is under the category of you shine brightly. And it says, dearest you, All your prayers are heard and mirrored back to you from the unseen realms. Be great, be grateful, praise things before they manifest. Be grateful and praise things before they manifest. And always ask for the highest good. So when you're manifesting, always ask for everything in the highest good. It says, when you plead and beg, that will bring only more reasons to plead and beg. Instead, offer your prayers and sacred gifts as a testament to your faith in the higher power. Open up and let spirits move through you and comfort you. Add meditation as a way to become empty so that you will be ready to be filled with inspiration. I knew I was going to stumble on this word. Effigies, peace, and understanding, and joy. In this moment, your prayers are being answered for the highest good of you and your life. Sometimes what we pray for is not supposed to be for you. Your prayers will be answered in surprising ways. At this moment, we are listening intensely to your prayers and what you want to know that is in your highest good is our priority. All is well. So remember, all those prayers that you put out there, those wishes, hopes, and dreams may not always be exactly what is in your highest good. So remember to be grateful for things that you've received. This is for all of us too. Grateful for the abundance we received in our life and the answered prayers. Always in gratitude for the good things in your life. Always ask for the higher good when you're manifesting, because I agree that is the highest priority, is what's going to lead us to our highest good. And those are the one, our guides will lead us in the way that it's going to be most beneficial for our life path. So I love that messaging. The surrender card for you today, Tony, is surrender to low self-esteem. I know you. I don't think you have a lot of low self-esteem. Maybe there's something a little lingering in the background someplace that you don't present to the world. It says, you deserve success, love, and abundance. Set an intention to identify and release any remnants of low self-esteem. So maybe you don't think you're successful enough in some area or another. You need to find a way of releasing this. I don't see that in your personality personally, but we all have something underlying that holds us back at times. I know nobody is perfect. We just try to achieve it. Okay, the question from Soul Truth today is, am I focused on what I want most? Yes. Okay. It says, I know Tonya, I've read for her a lot. It says, one reason so few of us achieve what we truly want is that we never direct our focus. And I know you've directed your focus quite successfully. We never concentrate on our power. Most people dabble their way through life, never deciding to master anything in particular. Okay, it says today's soul action. What you focus on grows. Today, ask yourself, is my life a reflection of my values, or do I need to make an adjustment? Prioritize. I like that one. That is great. think that's a great exercise, a way to look at ourselves. This deck I highly recommend those of you. I don't remember what I paid for it, but if you're wanting to do some self-help and just some journaling, this is a good one. I'm looking to see if the price is on the deck. I don't see it. I do believe I got this one on Amazon though. It's Soul Truth. I should set up an Amazon and advertise the cards because they'll give it like a little 1% kickback if you click on the link. Which on part of my donations, part of my expenses of running my channel is every so often I update my cards. Okay, and the Novice Day, a beautiful picture, the trees. It says a blessing to acceptance. Every part of you is equally worthy of love. Accept yourself as you are, and this will be a blessing unto yourself and others. If you wish to see the truth of the matter, hold no preference either for or against a particular outcome. Just be love that you truly are. Namaste. I like that. I'll share another story. Everybody knows I'm really good friends with Sharon. And Sharon's been doing some work and stuff, and has decided to go back out and open herself up to new relationships. And she went to Kevin Lewis's sabbatical, had a ball, I guess, through it. Extremely organized. All the speakers were wonderful. She had a really good time. And she was just amazed at the number of people she met, both socially, both as a colleague level, and maybe even a couple of possible interesting people to get to know. And she goes, I don't get it. And I said, she goes, people were so attracted to me. It was like a magnet. It was weird. And I said, well, Sharon, you've done all your shadow work and worked through your past relationships, et cetera, and you're open to a new relationship now. And your energy's there. It's your spirit's up. You're in this great place. You don't have anything weighting you down, no baggage you're carrying anymore. And you're exonerating love. Your energy is fabulous right now, and people see it. They see your light, and it attracts people towards you because people want to know this happy, joyous person. And I've known Sharon for years. I totally love her, and I've seen her in ups and downs, and we've very strong friendship. But yes, when you're ready to start relationships, you put that energy out there. That's something you're seeking. You're wanting love in your life, and you believe you're entitled to love in your life. You wear that on the outside. People notice it. So those of you who are ready to move on to a new relationship, you cut the ties and then the work from your past relationships, etc., and you're ready to put yourself out there. See yourself falling in love with somebody, open to receiving love, and you'll be wearing it on you. You'll be amazed at the number of people that are attracted to you, want to get to know you. You're opening yourself up for meeting people and starting good relationships, either if they're a love interest or a colleague or otherwise. You become very open to attracting people towards you because you're wearing that beautiful energy of light. So just saying. Boy, I'm jabbery today, aren't I, people? Okay, next up is Marby. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to hit that so loud. Sarita had me cut way low on the deck. So I cut the deck so I don't have to shuffle, reshuffle. Guides say, hey, this is where you need to cut the deck at. Okay, Marby, it says the surrender card for you today is surrender to the magic of who you are. I think this sort of flows from yesterday and something of you taking your power, your standing, your strength, your truth. The only part of the message I'm remembering from yesterday. Okay, it says, we have magic in us, even in the mundane aspects of life. Remember that you are a magical being with uniqueness and worth that comes just and worth that comes from just being you. Okay. My dyslexia, it actually takes the center of a sentence and starts shuffling things around. So that's why I had to reread it. But I love that card. I like that. From the soul truth, the question that posing to you, the guides are posing to you today is, what are the dominant emotions that run my life? Ooh, this is going to be a deep dive, huh? It says, how do I feel? How do you feel your day? What do you do during your day? How do you feel your day? Stress or joy? Trust or anger? Anxiety or peace? We have only today, right now, the journey. No goals, no distinction will bring us the feeling we seek. But when we begin feeling every day with which, when we, okay, but when we begin feeling every day with that which we value most, we will attract more of it. This is fulfillment. Sort of on the track that I was on just a minute ago, huh? There's a message in that, right? And today's soul action. Lean into what you want to feel and adjust your life, your values, and your expectations to match your desire. What do you want to feel? Are you willing to let go of a belief that you have archived something to feel it? So that's interesting. Are you holding on to something from your past that's affecting what you're putting out there in yourself? Do you need to archive that, or do you need to, if you're wanting happiness or love, you need to pull that energy, that memory, that feeling back forward to, so that you're wearing it on the outside and expressing it. Yeah, that makes sense. I like that. That's a good exercise. I spent 3 years in counseling, so just saying, when you do this work, this journaling and exploration of yourself, it heals you. It allows you to grow. It allows you to understand why you do what you do and how you move forward out of it and how you shift your energy to put yourself out there in positive ways. Okay. The blessing of the day for you is Namaste blessing. The divine in me acknowledges divine you. I bow to you and honor your inner light of pure, unconditional love. Eternal peace be with you. Eternal love be with you. Eternal joy be with you through this serendipitous. I had to break it up. What is that word? I know that word. The serendipitous blessing. Okay, namaste. Dyslexia is a real crippling problem. I have had a lot of training as a child because they recognized um, that I was dyslexic as a child, and I lived in San Diego where they were doing studies on helping kids with dyslexia. And that I ended up in this um, training program that was sponsored by San Diego State University students where they were researching and developing learning tools to help people overcome dyslexic disabilities. And it wasn't just dyslexia, there was other learning disabilities they were working with kids with. And so I went to school, and then after school, I went to this program 3 days a week, and huge difference in my life. I had troubles learning to really truly read. By the time I got into college, I was still reading really slow, and then of course, I had to take the remedial reading class. I blew the charts off from the English and comprehension side. I just read really slow, and so I didn't have to take all the English classes and grammar and stuff that some people got stuck in. I just had to take the one reading class to get my reading skills up fast enough to be able to cover the college level material. And I had a phenomenal teacher, and she taught a form of speed reading, but it's not the skip half the words speed reading. It's a read every word, but how to do it quicker and how to pick up the pace. And then she made me read children's book, because part of the problem with reading for people that have problems reading is we hyperventilate. We can't breathe. We're panicking. And when I read out loud, that's why I read the longer cards out loud. And yeah, I stumble periodically. It depends on where my headset is at. But I have to make myself do it because I have such a high fear of public reading. When I was in grade school, I couldn't keep track of where we were. And when it came to me, I was totally lost. And then I'd get in trouble, and it'd make me more panicky. And I stumbled so much reading, I would end up hyperventilating and almost pass out. I was so afraid to read out loud. But my daughter was 3 years old, and she gave me children's books to read. And then she explained why children's books, because those Run Jack Run books and all those, what they're designed to do is they're short, simple sentences, and it teaches you breathing and pausing patterns when you read. Totally makes sense, right, when you think about it. And then as you graduate through the different levels, you pick up pace and you start adding the commas and the longer sentences and the more compound sentences and etc. It's not only teaching you to breathe when you read, but also sentence structure and development of the more complex sentences and stuff like that. She sat down, explained all of this to me. It made sense. The logical mind also has to understand why we're doing the things we're doing. But she said, read to your daughter. These are great books to read to your toddler and any other children that show up at the house. It will make you comfortable. Children aren't judgmental when we're stumbling around reading. So that's what I did. I followed her instructions. I used the card to keep my place because there's a back and forth issue and I lose my place from one side to the other. In fact, you'll see me periodically when I'm really tired and I'm reading these longer cards. I will grab a card or an envelope or whatever's on my desk and run it so that I'm not losing my place from this into the next line. But yeah, and then after that class, I got my reading skills up. I think it was like 250 words a minute faster. I could actually read the same pace anybody else could. And once I mastered that reading, it opened my world up. I could cover the material. It made sense. It could keep up. I wouldn't lose my place. I wouldn't have to reread everything to make sure I got it, things like that. And then I started researching. And then I started reading novels, and it just really opened my world up. And I read all the time now. And I do a lot of audiobooks now too. And it's not uncommon for me to like buy the book in Kindle and get the audio version too, because it, so I can listen and read along, because it keeps my skills up, and I'm following along at the same pace that the reader is. If I'm having problems with my MS, my dyslexia flares really fast. When my health is down, my dyslexia flares. But yeah, anyways, that's how I've overcome that little obstacle, by forcing myself to do it publicly. I'll not own it. Yeah, I'm dyslexic. So what? At least I'm doing it, I'm overcoming one of my fears. Okay, luck is serendipity, and I love your name. Love your name. You are our last read for the day. I will run down through. Oh, I am doing well, serendipity. I'm doing really well. I'm still packing. The weather's great. I haven't been having problems with insomnia. I'm doing that. I'm practicing my temperance card. As you guys always know, I joke temperance is my card, because every reader that reads for me, a lot of my friends, we read for readers read for each other all the time. We're good friends, and when we talk, we throw cards for each other and whatever, or channel for each other, whatever moves us. Temperance, the temperance card, 99% of the time will come up in my reading, someplace in my reading, every single time. And Brenda, Sharon, Dean, everybody that I've talked to all the time, they're like, oh my God, guess what card I got? I said temperance. Yeah. And they always think it's funny because it actually does show up. And it's always telling me I need to take care of myself, my body, my health. I am a very impatient person. I push myself way too much. And I don't always go to bed on time. I have problems with insomnia. It's part of my MS. I can't get my brain to slow down. I meditate for that. And so on and so on. So yeah. So I'm really, really focusing right now, because I got so much on my plate to get done. I don't want to stress myself out on everything I need to get done to get my house shut down so I can get it on the market. Because we've lived here for 10 years now, and we've accumulated a lot. This was going to be our forever home. So, and of course, I'm that project person. I got art projects, I got cooking projects, I got sewing projects, I got tarot. I mean, I have not finished. I quit counting now. I'm over 200 decks of tarot. I didn't even know I owned that much, and I have them in different rooms. So it's crazy. And I was raised by a Gemini, so you don't buy one of anything. You buy things in 3 or more. There's Geminis out there. And we like stationery and textiles and things that are creative. And yeah, if you're having stress in your life, part of the way you calm yourself down and you regain focus when you're really, really having a stressful life is do something that you enjoy doing that allows you to express yourself. Any kind of art, art comes in cooking and sewing and doing puzzles, anything that allows you to focus on something that you enjoy doing will help your energy levels come down and will help you balance. And getting sleep, rest, and all that is really helpful. I do things like I take a hot bath every night before I go to bed. I put bath salts that have therapeutic salts, lavender, chamomile. Target has one out, the off-brand that the Target carries, that has cedar and something else in it. Oh my gosh, I love the smell of cedar. They have a sandalwood one out. They have one that's hibiscus. Oh, love that one. But I do lavender and chamomile is very, very relaxing. And I'll put that I'll mix some of it up in a bottle of water, and spritz my bed with the chamomile and lavender, because it will bring you, it's extremely relaxing. A cup of chamomile and lavender tea, it's wonderful. It will calm you down, and it helps you just relax and fall asleep easier. So I do some of those things to help me, get that state of relaxation. So if you're like me and you're having problems shutting that busy brain down, slowing down, you've got to find a way to refocus your energy. And those are some of the ways I ground myself. I get myself into a meditative state, and then I can connect. And I highly recommend, and I never like to hear people say, I can't meditate. I can't slow down and empty my mind. Well, that's because you're taking the wrong approach to it. I learned to meditate when I was a child, and I lived in the woods, in the forest. And I went hiking, and I would go up in the middle of the woods where it was just me and nature. I'm a tree lover. I'm a nature lover. And I would sit down on this great big 72-inch tree that had fell down, and it was laying in the middle of our property. And I would sit up there, and I'd cross my legs, and I would focus on the birds, the trees rustling, all the noise in nature that we take for granted. And before you know it, the busy garbage in my head would stop, and I would be focused on those beautiful sounds in nature that we just sort of push off on the side 90% of our life. And you can do this anywhere. You can do this in your front yard, your backyard. You can go to the park and do this. You can go hiking in the mountains and do this. Or you can just YouTube videos. There's all kinds of meditation videos that are sounds, ocean, different environments, or music, or whatever. Something where you're thinking about what you're hearing versus what you're hearing in your head. That helps you stop the clutter, and it relaxes you, and it calms you. And when you get your mind slowed down, you're relaxing and you're calming, and then you turn it off, or you just let it play out as you're trying to drift off to sleep. You will drift off into sleep. You'll learn that once you get to a certain point of meditation, you can drift off to sleep. And I've been doing that all week now, and I have been getting a solid 8 hours. I'm not waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning. I usually wake up at 3:33. If I wake up at 3:33, I'm up. I'm done sleeping. My body says it's rested. And all my life I've woken up at 3:33. Yes, the witching hour. But I usually get up at 5:30 at the latest, 6:30 at the latest. That's sleeping in for me. But I feel rested. I'm ready to go. I go make my cup of coffee. I go sit out on my front porch. The sun's rising. And I do my morning meditations and my prayers, and and put out there in fruition, asking my guides for, giving them gratitude and asking them to give me the strength to get the things I need to get done, to prioritize things. I put that all into my meditation. I put prayers out to different people I know have things going on in their life. I have a running list of prayers that I keep up. I pray off and on all day. A prayer to me is a meditation. And so I always have these running lists of prayers that I do for numerous people, and the list is long. And I do it off and on. While I'm washing dishes, I'm doing a sort of a meditative prayer while I'm washing dishes. My mind's not doing anything else. Focusing on dishes isn't such a big deal as I can focus on my prayers while I'm doing it, keep my mind occupied on something else. I hate dishes. Gets the task done without me having to focus on how much I hate doing it. Works for me. And I suggest, if you have those kind of obstacles in your life, to try it. You might find you get a lot more done and productively done. And when I started packing for moving, there's so much to do. I kept on focusing on everything that needs to get done, which is not the approach for packing. It's focus on a room at a time. Set your mind on today, I'm going to tackle this room, get this thing done. And if you're like me, as soon as I put something away where it goes in that room, I find 3 things that need to be done. I stop myself and say, no, I'm doing this room on such and such day. Today I'm focusing on this room. Do put that item away. Don't create another mess in another room. Find a space for it. Since I'm packing, I put empty boxes in each room. So at least, when I cleaned the dining room, I had a lot of cards in the dining room because I used to read at my dining room table, and that bookcase that used to be behind me in there, I had a lot of cards in there. Well, when I did the dining room, of course, I boxed up what was in the dining room, but I also put an extra box in here. And I had cards laying all over this table, I would bring that box in and I'd pick up whatever loose deck of cards that I wasn't currently using to finish filling that box so I could close it. Then I'd go back to the room I was focusing on. So that's been a lot of help. And that's taken that overwhelmingness of getting all that packing done. And I forbid my husband to come into my office and work in there. This is my stuff. This is my mess. And I don't trust him. He'd probably just start throwing things away that he thinks is trash when it's not. It's notes, it's notebooks, whatever. So I'm taking responsibility for my personal spaces. I said, how would you like it if I'll let you pack my office and I'll go through your tools? He goes, no, because you'll throw a bunch of them out. I said, that's why I don't want you in my office. Same thing. He has 4 to 6 sets of everything. I told him, nothing's wrong. I have a toolbox. I said, he always comes in and uses my tools. And then he leaves them wherever he uses them. If I use one of his tools out of the garage, I put it back where I found it, because that's what I was always taught to do. Get something out of Dad's tool cabinet, you put it where you found it. So Dad's not screaming, where's my screwdriver, whatever. So anyways, some of the things I do, I think are helpful. And my guys are obviously telling me I need to message some of these things today. So anyhow, for Locust Serendipity, which I love your name, you got surrender to stubbornness. Oh, you must have a little of me in you. I am stubborn. We are women. We deserve to be stubborn. It says, if you are tensing up or taking a rigid stance about something like packing, generally observe yourself and become more yielding. This will help you communicate more lovingly with others and yourself. I love it. I love the photo too. I really like these cards. And now from the Soul Truth, the question they're posing to you today is, what am I looking for outside of myself that is already within me? It says you are looking for more guidance, confidence, peace, wisdom, love, or something else. When we search inside ourselves, we can become overwhelmed, frustrated, and never feel quite good enough. It's time to go inward and find everything you seek. All the answers you need lie within you. So true. This is why I like this deck. This is the kind of journaling we need to do to recognize the goodness of ourselves. It says, today's soul action. Breathe in your favorite essential oils. Inhale deeply into your belly. Drop your shoulders and spread some time hanging out with your soul today. Ask for what you need and be ready for the answer. This is you talking to your higher self and or your guides, asking for guidance. This is sort of my bath oil trick. This is what I do. This is why I take that back Iraq. These are some of the exercises I have just made part of my life of looking, relaxing, looking in, validating myself, sending gratitude out there. When you acknowledge yourself, acknowledge your success, and ask for that guidance, it comes. It really does. These things work. These things create balance in our life and reduce that tension we all carry, all that stress we all carry. And you can't be a woman or a man and not carry a level of stress. That's for sure. And this is our Namaste picture, which I love this deck too. Love the artwork. I'm a big art buff too. I love going to museums and stuff. Anyways, the blessing of a door closing. This one should be interesting. One moment, nothing is happening, then everything seems to happen all at once. A door soon closes, but before you know it, another one opens. So true. You walk through into the bright new life, one in which you can be who you truly are. Namaste. The blessing of the doors. I love that. Yes. A door closes and another door opens for us. So true. So true. So I hope everybody got messages. Know that when we're doing oracles, any message that comes through an oracle card or oracle reading is drawn for the person I'm reading for, but it's always for all of us. If it resonates with you, take it in. And I find it rather funny. I bring up a little topic, then I draw cards that are reflecting those topics. What is that telling you? Spirit works in mysterious ways. They message us. They're helping me select the cards. I put my hand there. I cut the deck. They're telling me, cut it here. So that's part of the messaging process. I want everybody to have a wonderful week coming forward. And I do want to check because if anybody else new has come in there, there's Trinzone. Okay. I'll pull for you, Trinzone. I told everybody they're going to be in late today. Mark my word. You can go back to the beginning of the thing. I said that earlier today. He'll be here, but he's running late. He's either taking a nap, but he'll be in before we're off. So, of course, I was looking for you. So, cards for Trinzone. And do watch the replay because there was a lot of good information there, and even retirement, because I was talking about Social Security and retirement and all that. I know you're not retired yet, but I know you're starting to think that direction. And there are some pre-planning you can do. So, yeah, watch it because I know you work for a company that has benefits and retirement, organized retirement and all that. So there'll be some good information in there for you too. Okay, Trinzone. Gerald. Surrender to fear. And I don't see you as a fearful person, but we all have fears. Surrender to fear. Let go of the fearful stories you were telling yourself. Stay in the moment. Focus on situations and celebrate every baby step you take forward. Celebrate your achievements. Celebrate your goodness. I love that. Look, Gerald, it's you. You and all your strength. Okay. Question of the day for you to ask yourself is, who can I serve today? And the work through is, in a world lacking of soul-to-soul connections, small and simple acts are what create the biggest and the most lasting impacts. We shift our own pain and our experience and our avalanche of love when we lose ourselves in the service to others. Who needs you today? Today's soul action is listen to your heart. Who needs you? Make a soulful connection today and give solely to spread more love, expecting nothing in return. Notice the joy that you feel when you serve others. That's like the when you drive through Starbucks, pay it forward and buy the coffee for the car behind you. I have been known to do that one. I think it's fun when I get in the line and somebody has started it. And when I get to the window and they say, oh no, the guy in front of you took care of you. I'll pay for the one behind me, and then I'll ask the person at the window, when did it start? And they'll say, oh, as soon as we opened, the first person in line this morning started it. And now it's 2:00 in the afternoon. To see that gesture last that long through the day. And I did that, and I wasn't paying attention to the car behind me. I bought coffee for 6 people one day. That was a little spinny, but I felt really good about it because I didn't go, oh no, I can't afford that. I had the money, I did it, I felt good about it. And I'm sure it surprised the hell out of the big car people that I had bought their entire order. Because Starbucks, you're talking about anywhere from $5 to $8 a cup of coffee. So I love doing that. I once had somebody pay for it. I was checking out, and the guy behind me says, oh no, I got it, and swiped this card before I could refuse it. And he literally, and I'm like, he didn't know me from Adam. I had not said anything. Oh, I need some help. I was so financially, nothing. Blew my mind. And so I turned around and did it to somebody else the next day. You don't expect those things to happen. When those gestures happen, it's just amazing. And you walk away feeling so grateful that somebody did that with no prompting, no, I'm short, nothing, I always help out people in line. If they're short on money and I have it, boom, I'll pay, I'll make up the difference. That's always really important. My daughter always says, you're nuts, Mom. No, I'm not. It helps people. Okay. A blessed season. Each season of your life is gathering of precious moments. Each one has its purpose, unique beauty, challenge, and blessing. Everything in this is always unfolding in accordance with the divine will of our soul. All is a blessing and forever blessed. Namaste. I love that. So, thank you, Trim Zone. Thank you for the donation. And I'm going to throw you in. I didn't even look. You always send me donations. And I am going to throw out Black Card reading for you. And if you didn't, I'm going to do it anyways because I am me. You didn't. That's actually rather surprising. Usually throw me one. I'm not worried about them. Don't bother. Send it to somebody. Blessed seasons, yes. I'm with you there. Let's see what kind of cards we're getting for you today for this week. Coming up. I'm holding my deck upside down. There's the Pentacles. Underlying card of the reading, 6 of Pentacles. Nostalgia, the 6 of Pentacles. No, charity. We've already touched space, so I don't have to explain that one. And you're an extremely charitable person. Anyways, followed by the 2 of Cups. You're working together with others in cooperation in conjunction with others. Also, these are options and directions and choices you're going to make together working in partnerships with others. You get the Knight of Wands. You're always taking action, charging forward with your knowledge and your creativity. So totally. And of course, the Nine of Cups. My other deck gets that Golden Goose card, but this one is a mermaid surrounded by an abundance of seashells. So, yes, it's a water card. It's an emotional card coming from the Pisces. You have abundance in your life. You attract abundance to yourself in helping of others, being an extremely generous, loving person out there, and it's spewing that energy all around. So, I love it. Eight of Wands was the next card, taking action, things happening fast, swiftly. I get the Judgment card. I think this is a resolution of something you had going on in your life in the past. It's finally completely resolved, and life is finding its balance. If I remember right, you did have something going on. You came out good on it. It's on the upside. So, you are the King of Cups. That is that emotional king, that nurturing king. You nurture yourself. You nurture people you love and that are around you. This is how you function. This is part of your march in life, is that emotional goodness that you have inside of you. And you live in your truth, and artistically and creatively. This is your ability to create money, finances, it's a hobby, it's an interest, things you love. What does it bring you in life? Right in the center of the reading, of course, it brings you that Ten of Cups, happy family, financial abundance. You have a lot of abundance in your life. You're extremely wonderful person in that you have happiness and everything, even if you don't have a immediate family right around you. You love your friends, your people, your associates, the people in your life. You're extremely generous with, and you'll enjoy spending your time with others. I hope you have been out dancing. Did you go to that jazz club? I highly recommend it. One of these days, we're going to connect. You and I are going to go out and listen to some great jazz music. I'm sure you love it. I just know it must move you like it does me. I just think you'd be an interesting person to get to know in person. You are the Emperor. Yes, you are. You've got control. I love this Emperor. You're going to love the imaging on this. Yeah. Get inside of your native side and get in touch with yourself. Not out yet. Well, you need to pick up that phone, call a friend or two, and say, hey, let's go out to such and such club and get out. My husband and I go out dancing most weekends. There's nobody playing this weekend. And Saturday nights, they were on Fridays. They were on Friday and Saturdays last year. Then they started on Fridays, and they decided they bring more business in on Saturdays. So now they're on Saturdays, but they didn't have anybody lined up this week, so we didn't get to go this week. But I pulled the schedule up. A really good band's playing next week called These Old Guys. They're a bunch of hippies of my husband and I's generation. We're 8 years apart. So he's 69, I'm 62. And they're our age group, probably more my age group than his. Great guys. They've known each other all the way through high school. They were a high school band. They play all the music of our era. And of course, I live in California, so they play both rock and Hispanic music and all the really good stuff. And we go out and go dancing and just have a good time. And we have about 20, 30 really good friends we've made. We all end up meeting out there and having a really good time. So, yeah, it's fun. So get out there and kick up your heels. And come on, you live in Chicago. Clubs galore out there. And the comedy clubs too. Oh my God, I love comedy clubs. I'd be out every week. I'd be finding something to do. Okay, the final card of your reading is the Six of Cups. Six of Cups There's our memorability card. I knew I had pulled it. So reminisce in your past, but don't live in your past. Bring those friends, somebody you haven't seen. I know you have a friend. How is your friend doing? I hope he's doing well still. He's been in my prayers. I've remembered him in my daily prayers. But you know, that memorabilia, that's that knock on the door of your past. You don't want to make your past disappear, but look at where you started from and where you've come all the way. You've come a long way, baby. Look at your growth, your process, how much you achieved in life. Give yourself a pat on the back of all your achievements and all your growth and where you started and be in those humble times and how much growth and experience you give and how much you give that mentoring other people, taking them under your wing, etc., passing all that glory forward to seeing somebody that reminds you of yourself when you were young, putting your arm around them and giving them a little help out, a little guidance, a little great advice, because I'm sure you're that type of person that would mentor somebody right along that you see has those abilities but not yet the confidence to achieve. Pat yourself on your back for your growth achievement through these years and acknowledge yourself. So I love your cards. I love your energy. I hope everything is going well. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful week. We are at the 2-hour mark, believe it or not. I didn't get exhausted yesterday. We went at 2.5 hours yesterday. It usually knocks me out for the afternoon. I was really in a great mood. My energy levels were high. That meditation, that focusing on just slowing our minds down, service to others. I do these readings because, one, I love the company. I love the joy. I love the messages. And I really enjoy reading for everybody and sharing the gift that God has given me. And I'm totally grateful for my abilities. They have served me well to help others. They've served me well in my career, etc. In fact, I didn't even realize how much I used my gift while I was working, but looking back on it, when I really started opening up with my spirituality and my reading, that actually got talked into starting is reading on YouTube and actually doing readings. I actually walked into it blindly. I've been doing this for years. My anniversary is coming up. I can't even tell you what year I started. I'd have to look at my page. I opened my channel on Lionsgate 88. I don't know what year. I'll have to look at that. I haven't done a program. I haven't wrote a program yet. Usually, I know last year I didn't do an 8-8. Something was going on last year. I can't remember what. That I didn't sit down and do a program for specifically for Lionsgate. A Lionsgate is a period of time when the veil starts to get thinner. We get more in connection with our spirituality, our guides. It's a period of time when a lot of people have spiritual awakening. It is all to do with the planetary alignment of the planets, which makes the veil thin out and makes that spiritual communication connect and stuff. There's different meditations that you can do during Lionsgate. You know, if you're really interested in it, do some research. I will pull together a program for that because I've got 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks to do it. Lionsgate's on 8-8. It's also the anniversary of my nephew, the one I raised like a son to me, passed away on 8-8. This is Anthony, my nephew. And I know it's glaring there. Good looking boy. He looks like my father. He was 28 years old. He would be 30, is he? My daughter's 44. He'll be 36 this year. Wow. He was just getting ready to go into an electrician's program, electrical engineering program, when he passed away. He just got accepted, finally figured out what he wanted to do in life. It'd taken him a while. He'd gone to college for a few years. My nephew loved to read. thrillers, science fiction, my wheelhouse of books that when I started really reading, that's where I started reading. And of course, my sister, nothing, no scary books. Can't even watch scary movies. It scares her to death. She has no division between fiction and nonfiction. So she always forbid him. So I gave him every book I ever read, and he loved it. In fact, my daughter and my other nephew went through his bookcase, and my daughter's going, I've read all these books. These were yours, Mom. I'm like, uh-huh. And now that he's crossed over, because I have Kindle and I have audiobook, he actually fills up and I know they're his because they're subjects that I don't always read. He puts books that he wants me to read in my wish list box. I end up reading a lot of them because he's got really great taste in literature. Either that or Amazon has figured me out and is making me buy books. Well, that they figured me out. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm usually reading 4 or 5 books at a time. I know it sounds weird, along with all the other crap I do. This is why I can't sleep at night, probably. Anyways, that's my nephew. But yeah, and he passed on away on 8/8. He was in a head-on collision with another vehicle where the man was truly an accident, and well, it was negligence on the other driver's part. He had worked a 16-hour day after a 16-hour day, and he was decided to go home rather than stay overnight in a hotel because he was only an hour and a half away from home, even though he was exhausted. He got behind the wheel of his truck, and rather than driving straight down the highway, which would have cut it half an hour off on his trip, he cut through. He went down, instead of going down the 99 corridor that goes through California, he cut over and cut through the small towns, took the back roads in to get home, which actually extended his drive. He was 35 minutes away from his home, fell asleep behind the wheel, blew through a stop sign a half a mile down the road and hit my nephew head on a 2-way road. And there was no place for my nephew to go any direction. He would have gone down an embankment and hit an orange grove and would have hit an orange tree head on, which would have killed him, or get hit straight on bumper to bumper, which killed him also. It was extremely devastating. He was such a wonderful young man, whose life was, the good die young. He's very active on the other side. I hear from him all the time. He's a prankster. He's also at my daughter's house most of the time. And he's they're cousins, but they have a very strong sibling relationship. My daughter and him are 8 years apart. He always admired my daughter so much. And she was the pesky little brother and her favorite nephew, her favorite cousin. She took him to his first concert. Yeah, they had a wonderful relationship. So he's missed dearly. But yeah, that's just, it was happenstance that was the anniversary of his death was the date I picked to start my channel up and finally go solo. After launching helping all the people that I had mentored through the years launch their own channels. So, anyways, love what I do. Love working with people. One of these days I'll have to get another group of people together, mentor them, and get them up and running on YouTube and breaking out in their abilities too. Or just start a work group on the side to practice and help people just hone in on their skills, because I love doing that kind of work with people. It's a growing experience for the people that join the group and for me, because we are constantly learning to enrich our gifts. So anyways, everybody have a great week. Hopefully, worst forecast to be in the hundreds to 104 all this week. So pray for a lot of cloud cover that keeps our hundreds under 100. I hope everybody's having a beautiful weather in their area, and have a really great week. And I will see you next Saturday. Dean is on his way to the Caribbean tomorrow morning. He's flown out today and he's in Florida. They're doing overnight in Florida before they jump on the cruise ship. He will be gone a week on a cruise. I sent him a message this morning. Just tell him I'm jealous and to have a great time and have the time of his life and let his hair down. So anyways, I'll let you guys go. Bye.